Can you believe that the actual secret ingredient that helped nab Matthew Perry's murderers was Charlie Sheen? Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and a fascinating update. Charlie Sheen was indeed apparently the secret ingredient that helped nab the pushers who ended Matthew Perry's lives. I'm going to break this down because it's a fascinating story as we get more specifics about the case. Also, I want to talk about how these high-end rehab clinics are not being checked out and ultimately are responsible as well. This is a really sad part of the story, but first, let's look at this again, because we talked about Charlie Sheen and Brooke Mueller. Well, yes, that's ultimately how they were able to nab Ketamine Queen. We'll call her Miss K, the K Queen. Obviously, Charlie Sheen, no stranger to scandal. He's been obviously mentioned a lot, Tiger's Blood, etc. But it was his name that's now being dragged into the case, and it was his case with his ex-wife, Brooke Mueller, that allowed the feds to then find out who actually did this. Now, how did that all go down? Well, Brooke Mueller pressure was on her to snitch. Investigators were then able to leverage the fact that she had already disclosed that and who the suppliers were to Sheen as an attempt for her to finally break her silence. Brooke voluntarily submitted to the questions knowing she'd already blown the whistle on the ring to Charlie. It made her decision to cooperate with the task force more palpable. The reality is that Charlie and Brooke's court deal, although unintended, helped lead to those who were indicted. So it's wild. It's wild that Charlie, who's always vilified and has serious addiction too, but the irony of all ironies is that it was Charlie Sheen that was able to snitch and get this all done through a divorce with Brooke, where that information was revealed, but not for the purpose of trying to nab them, for other purposes. And now that it was out there, they're able to use that to finally go after these others, particularly this Jasmine Sanga, the alleged person who gave him the fatal dose, who sold it. Here she is. Now, what's wild are all the celebrities that are being associated due to photos that were posted on Instagram. It all started due to this woman who's the ex-wife of Slash, the Guns N' Roses guitarist, Perla. On her accounts, look,
another one.
DJ Khaled with the K Queen. And as we scroll down and learn more, yes, there were some images. You can see them sort of smaller with Charlie. There were images of Charlie and her partying as we went through. Now, we're looking more into this. Just because they're in photos together doesn't mean they're associated. They haven't been charged. So obviously, I'm not trying to imply that at all. But, you know, not a good look to be hanging out with this woman and, you know, all the materials and so on. But these two have been out there partying with other celebrities, and it's hard to not assume that some of these people in these photos might actually, you know, have been using her services, is what I would say. So I'm sure a lot here, and there's the proof with Charlie. He's on the side there. And then, now again, it's a group shot. What does that actually mean? Nothing. It means they were at a party together. It doesn't mean there's anything criminal or illegal happening here, to be fair. But there are other photos out there as well with Charlie and this woman here. So it does seem like they knew each other to an extent. So look, this woman, this K Queen, she's deplorable, man. Again, alleged to have done all this, but it's incredibly sad and frustrating what her and these people, these doctors, were responsible of doing to take advantage of these people who were struggling with addiction. And whether he intended to or not, Charlie helped to nab it. So good to hear it. However it's going to go down, I'll accept it. Now, what's really depressing, though, is this street dealer's Eric Fleming. He was the program director at the Bel Air Treatment Center, the Red Door. Now, Brooke Mueller cooperated, obviously, but went to there. And this individual, William Cooney, he died there. Now, William Cooney's wife, and there's his son, just so damn sad. This guy was struggling. The wife opens up about it, makes it clear. But it was because of this venue where things really went bad. Employees and clients of the Red Door told how report that Cooney obtained it himself. The facility didn't test or monitor him closely enough. When he was admitted, Fleming identified himself as the Red Door's program director and previously retained work for him. Later, Fleming provided her with information about his condition. Jernnifer notes that her client had checked into the facility against her advice. He had nevertheless been persuaded by his then girlfriend Mueller, who'd herself been recently relapsed. Cooney and Mueller had spent much of their previous year living together in Beverly Hills after completing representative stints in luxury Utah. They were together. They liked each other. Fleming and Mueller didn't respond to requests or comment. Red Door's attorney acknowledged that Fleming was a program director at the Soberly. However, Fleming was not at the facility the day of the death. Yada, yada. They're all trying to cover it up. But where things get interesting is, yes, he was survived by his young son, Miles, and his former wife, Sarah. And here's Sarah. When I look back at when things truly began to unravel, it all started when he met Brooke Mueller, who also struggled with addiction. She introduced him to shortcuts and connections that only fueled their disease further. Through her, he was drawn into a circle of people who masked their greed behind labels like addiction specialists. These were sober companions who would drive them to buy substances, doctors who would prescribe anything, and enablers who would stay silent as long as they were paid. William was vulnerable, as addicts are, and they preyed on him. After a relapse, Brooke and her associate, Eric Fleming, the one who's been arrested, insisted he go to the Red Door, the one he worked at, while he's, doing all this. Sorry, I scrolled up too fast. So he works the program director, and now he's also a street dealer going there. How awful this all is. But he insisted he go to the Red Door, which was notorious for a bad reputation, marred by the disgraceful conduct of its owners. Up until then, Eric had been introduced vaguely as an assistant, best friend, family acquaintance, apparently godfather to one of their children. It wasn't known for having any real credentials in health services, but Eric was, in fact, the program director and had a financial stake in pushing William there. Despite his family's objections, William was taken to the rehab by Eric, who personally drove him there, which is really depressing. I felt like when he met Fleming, Cooney's father said, I felt like he was feeling me out to befriend me in grief. Just disgusting. His lifeline, this guy Eric, was ultimately his death line. I want to repeat this last thing because it's important. Morse, the ex-wife, says, while her ex-husband was an addict, he was also a human being, a father, a son, a brother, a friend. This man who had an immense value. His life had immense value. When this happened, we were told it was impossible to prosecute, that the paperwork rehabs make addicts sign is airtight. Our only hope would be to push for new legislation, a process that could take years, cost a lot of money, and still offer no guarantees. It's devastating to know that this should not have happened, yet it has been investigated. I hope that Matthew Perry tragedy has spotlighted the deep flaws in our system and the way we approach addiction services. But this fight is big. This fight is bigger than our one case. I want justice for William, for our son, for the entire Cooney family, for everybody who feels betrayed by these predatory practices. William's life mattered. Truly, it is just a sad day, all of this. And his life did matter. Just because he had an addiction doesn't mean he's worthless. He was preyed upon by these people. And I'm so glad to see that the heat is now on them, that they are now really looking deeper into all of this. And again, the weirdest connection of it all, that it all came together because of Charlie Sheen. Now, he didn't do it. I wish he would have been the guy who ratted him out, all these people. I ain't snitching. It's time to snitch, Hollywood. Start snitching. Get the word out there. Stop this. If they had been able to stop this earlier and the first death, been investigated, we wouldn't have lost Matthew as well. The fact that they're not investigating these properly, letting these rehab centers get away with it, it is scary. And it's a good thing that this happened, that we're able to now, this arrest, I'm saying these arrests are happening to really shake the cage, to rattle that cage. So people are now more terrified to get involved because they actually are paying attention. A lot of people saying, well, why is Matthew Perry getting all this attention? He's allowed, because he was such a big star, it's allowing this attention to be clearer. Stop, because we are looking into this, and we will, and it can trickle down through you, through all these fellow addicts. Again, addicts aren't reliable. They're texting their exes and things, getting the thing out there, and that's what ultimately got this all together. So fascinating update and heartbreaking stories still uncovering. We will keep you updated as they progress. Make sure, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell so you get alerted when you do. Smash that like button, leave your comments down below, and let us know what you think about this. We got so much more coming for you. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Popcorn Planet.